bright as the stars above. We shine, yes, we shine. We shine in this house of love, in this house of love. We are family, brothers and sisters in this world, in this house of love. We seek the wisdom, tells us the truth, and we're assured. And we shine, yes, we shine, as bright as the stars above. We shine, yes, we shine. We shine in this house of love.
Yes, we shine here. We shine here in this house of love that is our hearts. We shine in this house of love that's called the Alaska Center for Spiritual Living. And we shine ever so brightly in this house of love in our Anchorage community, in our Alaska community, and in our world community. And I am knowing that there is perfect synchronization of the harmonies of voices, the harmonies of sound, and the harmonies of this talk that is happening this morning. And grab your slingshot. Please join me in affirming. And so it is. We are an interfaith gathering, a spiritual community that honors all teachings and all spiritual teachers. And now we begin the ceremony that celebrates this oneness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples and all faiths come for the one universal presence, which we call spirit. Our candle lighter this morning is Dana Danford. Thank you for saying yes. And so let us begin. The Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. Shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of pristine spirituality. Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. New Thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. The last candle is the healing candle of love. We invite you in the stillness of your own mind to bring to awareness the names of anyone you wish to be included in this healing flame of love and light. Now that our flames of faith are fully lighted, we move forward into our celebration, realizing and reaffirming that all paths lead to God. Our inspirational quote from Ernest Holmes, Mind Remakes Your World, page 171 to 172. Our bowl of acceptance must be held up so the outpouring of spirit may be measured into our individual experience. And so it is.
We have come together as a family
morning, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
There we go. I am Karen Blair Sherman, a licensed practitioner here at the Alaska Center for Spiritual Living. We are so honored and grateful that you are all here in the building and that you are all here on live stream joining us today. We know that there are many places that you can choose, and we are so happy that you chose us this morning or chose us later to watch on YouTube or Facebook Live throughout the week. And so there are many things that we like to do here at the Center for Spiritual Living, and one of those is prayer. There's lots of ways to receive prayer. Right after service, if you're here, you can receive what we call a 1-minute miracle or OM, and you just tap one of us, which is myself and Rev Dawn. Can everybody stand? Because I think we have some new people, so they'll know who to tap. So myself, Stevie, Rev Dawn, Ann Fleming, Bob, Judy, and then Bob is in the corner in the back. So you can, Robert, yes. So you can tap any, meant to say Robert. You can tap any one of us and say, please pray with me. Please help me affirm what I want to receive in my life, or please help me celebrate the joy and the celebrations that I have, because I definitely want more of that. Yes? We all want more of that. Yes. And so you can receive prayer through that. You can write a confidential prayer request. It's in the back of this seat that is in front of you, and you can fill that out. There's a box as you walked in that's to the right. You can put that there. If you are online, there's a way that you can go to ACSL.org, and there's a little button that you push, and you fill out your prayer request there, and Rev Linda will send those to us for the week. If you fill out the prayer request here, I will send those out today to all of the practitioners, and we will pray for you all week. You also can call here to the center. Rev Don will pick up that message, and he will either personally reach out to you or ask one of us to reach out to you, and we can have a more formal prayer session, and you can receive joy and a more in-depth prayer. We also have ways that you can say yes to the center and join us. So one of the announcements I have is that every month in January, which is coming up soon, the Gracious Giving Committee, which I'm a part of and several people are a part of, we get together and we decide what we're going to give our 5% to each month, because with the money that you give, 5% of that goes out to our Alaska community. And so for this month, we're giving to the Clare House. And then other announcements are that we have worked with the Court Council to create a confidential survey to identify how we can best serve your spiritual needs. And in order for us to know how to best serve your spiritual needs, the one thing that you need to do is be willing to fill it out. So there are ways you can fill it out. You can go online. The survey will show up online. Also, for people whose email we have, I believe that we're sending it out that way. We are mailing it through snail mail, and so people will be able to have a paper copy if you need that. So there will be many ways that you can fill out the survey. We only need you to fill it out once, and then either if you do it online, it will be done instantaneously. Otherwise, you'll send it back through email, or you will send it back through the mailing system. And we would like to have those responses back by November 15th. Look for that this week on October 15th. Our Youth Sunday program will be starting back again. Thank you to Ann Fleming, who has tirelessly gotten us all together and tried to get that figured out. I think since August or September, we've really tried to figure out how we can bring our young people back, because it's something that they enjoy, and it's sometimes families can only participate when they have really young kiddos if they have a place for their young people to be. So that will be starting at 11 o'clock Sunday service for all children ages 3 to teen on Sunday, October 23rd. And then on Sunday, October 30th, we will have our first potluck, and it will be a family potluck to celebrate the kids coming back, but also for all of us, because we know how much we love to share and commune with food. Right? That's true story, right? True story. Okay. And then also, Rev Don will be talking a little bit more about this in his minister's moment, but we are doing a call out for our PFD and giving 10% to that. Before Rev Don comes up with our minister's moment, I just want to say that we are all blessed and honored to have Stevie talk with us today. Every time she talks, I've known her since such a young person, and I always see her bright heart shining through, whether it's something that she's really coming forth with vigor and and a lot of like energy, or whether it's even more today in a more solitude moment, she still ever shines so brightly. So, Rev Don, minister's moment.
Thanks, Karen. At our center, one of the key beliefs that we have, the values that we share, are those of generosity and sharing. The Leadership Council has decided to demonstrate our gratitude for the financial good that most of us have received in terms of the permanent fund distribution. And we are inviting you to join us in supporting the center and relief efforts for those villages that were affected by the remnants of the Typhoon Merbok in September. And now they've got hit again late last week. In fact, even as recently as yesterday, the same villages are getting hit in much the same way. We don't have the ice shelf that normally forms that far north to protect these. So when these storms come up, and they have been coming up this way for a long time, when they come now, they're bringing flooding and horrible winds and destruction that was always protected by the ice shelf. So I searched around for someone to that would be good at donating to, that could really help. And I came across the Alaska Community Foundation. And this is a group, and they have members from the villages that have been affected. And they have many programs. It's a big organization, but they have developed a thing called the Alaska Disaster Recovery Fund. And the Rasmussen Foundation thought so highly of this group that they donated all of the administrative costs for doing relief efforts through the Community Foundation in the Alaska Disaster Recovery Fund. So what this translates into in real terms is that 100% of what we give will go to the villages, will go to the actual people that are affected. Rasmussen will pick up all the administrative costs. And I think that's a real big deal. So we invite you to join us. Our Leadership Council is committed to it. We already have 100% of the Leadership Council committed to supporting the effort, and we invite you to join us. If you feel so moved, you can donate the full PFD, 328, 10%, 328.40, or any other amount that you would like. If you donate by check, you can just write in the memo block that it's for the PFD. If you wish to donate another amount, either larger or smaller, we take larger as well. Just making it an amount that stands out to us. If you usually give $25, this time you might want to give $28.40 or something that stands out. We can say, oh, that's different if you're donating by credit card. Because when it comes in by credit card, we don't have a method for saying that this amount is dedicated to from the PFD fund. And then right before Thanksgiving, we're going to collect all of these and make one large donation to the Western Alaska Disaster Recovery Fund of the Alaska Community Foundation. And I've rattled on long enough. Thank you.
One thing that I forgot, is there anyone new in the building today that would love to receive one of our welcome packets? If you would, you can raise your hand, and if not, you can see Judy at the end. Thank you. Stevie.
Should probably turn on my microphone. I almost forgot that. Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everyone doing?
Good.
Even with this weather, you guys are doing good? All right. You don't have to lie to me. This is all God here. It's all God here. I want to start off this morning by thanking Reverend Don Fleming for giving me this opportunity to chat. I think that as a practitioner, there's so many ways that we have the opportunity to be of service, which you get to see in this building. And I think it's just beautiful how we have our unique purposes. And when I was going through my 5 years of prac studies and taking classes, I knew pretty early on that this is where I wanted to be. And I'm really grateful to have a leader that allows me to deliver in the way that feels right. So my life's been a little bit crazy lately, not gonna lie. I'm not gonna make this about me, promise you. But also, we gotta speak from our own heart, right? So there's been a lot of pause, a lot of stillness. I feel like winter came early in my own cycle of life. A lot of things just felt kind of frozen over lately. And so when Rev Don asked if I'd like to get back on the pulpit, I'm like, yeah, definitely. Like, I need to get back in action, maybe feel a little bit more like myself again. So I felt like, okay, I'm getting ready to take a couple steps forward, pretty psyched up about it. And, they provide themes for us to be aligned with, so that way all the centers for spiritual living can somehow keep that connection. And so I'm feeling pretty good about getting back on the stage and sharing my heart and just bringing a little bit of light into this world. And so I'm like, all right, Rev, what's the topic? He goes, finances. Yeah, so remember when I said it's been winter time for me? Finance is frozen. It's like I put every card that I have in the freezer. Like they're blocks at this point. Just had a lot of situations unfold in my life where finances were challenged in a way that I haven't seen ever personally. So of course, when he brings this topic to me, I go from being all excited, feeling like I've taken a few steps forward, to just immediately, if I can say, on my ass. I'm gonna be really honest with you. I fell flat. Felt like I just automatically took a couple steps back. Flash forward to literally yesterday. And thank God we are surrounded by such patient, loving individuals here at the center, because my blurb was due on Wednesday. I'm going to be really honest. They said, let's get a little idea of what you're talking about. I'm like, yeah, I'll have it to you tomorrow. Saturday comes around. Michelle Moore, she's like, all right, Stevie, you got anything for me? And I'm like, I'll have it soon. Literally yesterday. So at this point now I feel like I've taken 5 steps back. I like to have my speeches done well in advance so I can rehearse and practice and make sure that I am ready to deliver this message of God. And here it is, Saturday before the Sunday. And I'm just feeling like I couldn't really take any further steps back at this point. Then we have our prac meeting yesterday morning. And if you don't know, all the practitioners like to gather at least once a month to make sure that we are creating the kind of community that we want to embody on a bigger level. It's a great chance for us to bond, to discuss anything that's business that needs to be taken care of. But yesterday it was deep. It was very deep. And it's a confidential space, so I'm not going to get into exactly what was said, but this is what I will say. A lot of what I was going through personally, as people were sharing, it was a mirror. It hit so close to home. But the bigger theme was there was an overarching elephant in the room in regards to this law of circulation and when we give versus when we find ourselves able to receive. And being that I haven't had much to give lately, I recognize that I've been in this frozen period so I could learn how to receive. And just like that, the fireworks, the clicking, everything came together. And I realized why I was in this delay, even with writing my speech. I felt like I was taking all these steps backwards, but God was positioning me for that perfect inspiration. Even though it was the day before, we trust in that divine timing, right? So that's what I was told. So the title of my talk today is Grab Your Slingshot, because sometimes we need a reminder that it is all God. And I felt like thinking about how a slingshot works, you gotta pull back before you can pivot forward. And that is where that momentum really picks up. So my topics today, we're gonna tie this into the law of circulation. That is where abundance come in. So we're gonna talk a little bit about finances. We're gonna bring it into the mix. It has to be, it's required. And then just a little bit about the metaphor of the slingshot for me, because it feels like I have been in that phase where God is just loading up that so I can, but I'm still kind of leaning back right now. So it's an interesting space to be in. So as far as the law of circulation, now we participate in this every Sunday. Somebody very lovely comes up here and we do our affirmation and we pass our baskets. It's a beautiful thing. So it shouldn't be anything that new, but really when it comes down to it, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Now we can see this from a science perspective or a science of mind perspective. See, it's all connected. What we do know is the extent of what you give is going to determine the fullness of which you can receive. And I think we are such a giving community. We give our hearts out. And yet, there's something about when it's time to receive that even in a room of licensed individuals, we still had to check, are we allowing that space? Are we giving ourselves room to receive? But that is how the law of circulation works. Even if we think about our body, I'm going through training right now to become a physical trainer. And I'm learning a lot about circulation, actual circulation, the blood and the heart and the lungs and how it's all connected. And if you aren't allowing that blood to go back up, if your arteries are not allowing that blood to go back up from your body to your heart so it can go back into your body, there's going to be a clog. We see it in health concerns. And so I feel like we're also seeing it in our world. I'm personally seeing it in my own world. So just like our arteries, we can clog up, and we can also find ways to bring that flow back in order. There was a quote that I was sent, thank you, Rev Don, by Ralph Waldo Emerson. We love this. Let us take our bloated nothingness out of the path of the divine circuits. Let us unlearn our wisdom of the world. Let us unclog those arteries. That's what I got from that. So we know the basics of circulation. You got to be able to do both, give and receive. And that is just going to be tied into everything that I bring into the points of today. So when I think about the slingshot, obviously, you cannot, like if you were to just imagine a slingshot, I had one as a kid, so I don't know if you guys had one, but I love my slingshot. If you were to take something and only pull back a little bit, how far is that object going to go? It's not going very far. So if you pull back just a little bit more, all right, you might get a foot this time. But if you go all in and pull that as far back as that rubber band will let you without snapping, you're going to have to run to go find that object that you allowed to just get flung out into the universe. That was the goal. You weren't using a slingshot to land right in front of you and pick it back up. They had those little paddle boards if you wanted to do that kind of action. The slingshot is to give you some distance, right? So when I think about the mechanics of life and the fact that we have to be able to lean back so we can go forward, I've seen so much in my life recently about how me leaning back, that part of that slingshot, that's me learning to receive. So that way I can move, so that way I can give. To be expected. It's to be expected. If you want to move forward, you have to be able to gain momentum. If you want to shoot, you have to reload. And so I started to really recognize that if this is a part of the process, if this is an inevitable way of nature, then how do we embrace it and recognize the signs? This frozen period for me, this leaning back into that slingshot before I catapult forward. If I know it's coming, how do I recognize it, prepare for it so I cannot resist? Now I was thinking earlier today, all these things were coming to me and I was like, you know, I see my life as kind of a movie sometimes, not because I think I'm a movie star, but because I just see it as a great metaphor as well. We are the director. We are the characters who are acting out every single scene. We are also the people behind the scenes. And I think a lot of the time we get so caught on what's happening on stage, and sometimes we are forced to swap into that role of what's happening behind the scenes. And as of lately, I've felt like I have stepped into that, and it feels like my characters aren't doing anything because I'm behind the scenes, but it is all God. And as I'm playing every role, those characters are still developing. I'm still developing, even though things feel slightly frozen. So here's the thing for me. The last couple years, I've been in a position to give more than I've ever been able to because I've been given the opportunity. And the more that I've been able to give of myself, the more Spirit has been challenging me. How big is your vessel? Are you receiving to the same extent of what you're giving? And so, yeah, you know, we practice what we preach around here, and we say, if you throw it out to the law, what is the law going to say? Yes. The law is going to say yes. Now, I'm not going to say be careful what you wish for, because that sounds scary. However, be cautious. Proceed with caution, because I have been praying for many years that I want to get better at receiving. Not because I want more, because I want to give more. And I realize in order to give more, I have to receive more. So what happened within the 2 years of me making this a conscious effort and telling the law, teach me to receive? The law said, awesome, I'm going to take away everything you have. So that way you can learn how to receive it again. Because when you already have it all, are you learning to receive? In order to receive, there has to be something to fill, right? If your cup is already filled with water, where can you receive water? So Spirit said, are you willing to empty your cup so I can fill it back up? So if you didn't know, I was supposed to move to Vegas this summer. Didn't happen. Didn't want to talk about it for a while. It didn't happen. I had all my plans. I had my car ready to get scheduled to go. I had already scheduled for my packages to get picked up, and last minute it fell through. Guess what I had already done by the time it fell through? Quit my job. Hey, we're talking about finances today, right? We're going to peel off these layers. I had already quit my job. I had been in retail for 10 years as a store manager. So now here I am, little old me, who's been so astutely particular and strategic about her finances. See my little bumblebee out there? I've been very particular about my finances. Now I've quit my job and I'm not moving, and I had already planned work for when I got there. Now it's not happening. Never have I been in such a place where I have needed the support. It's one thing when you have the options, but you got it. So it's like, yeah, everybody's like, well, if you need something, call me. But it's like, well, cool, I'm not really needing anything. But now I'm in a point where I don't really have much choice but to allow that support to flow in. And here I am feeling at some points like the victim. Why is this happening? Then I remember we have these laws, right? And then I remember not only do we have these laws, I asked for this. I said I need to learn how to receive. And so what happens is we will go through these times where it will appear that there is lack and limitation. And it can appear very real. Bills start to stack up. Lack and limitation starts to happen, and maybe money falls through, or you thought you had something coming and it doesn't happen, or now you're paying something extra that you weren't anticipating. When this happens, and we know what's going to happen, instead of focusing on that lack, Spirit helped me to realign and focus on what I'm receiving and how it's showing up in different ways. And I've had no choice but to step into that. Now, what I've realized is during this time, I am so grateful for the amount of people, resources that have miraculously started showing up out of nowhere. I don't really understand how I still have a roof over my head. It has been that dry in the Sahara Desert of Stevie's life. And yet, there have been miraculous resources that have take me. Are you willing to say yes? And I've been practicing saying yes more than ever before. But I realized that I created an image. I was talking to my mother, and she was very open with me. And she's like, I didn't really know how to tell you this some time ago. But she's like, you know, you've been more open with actually asking me for help, and it's kind of weird because you've never asked for help before, and I've never offered it because I always just knew you were taken care of. She's like, you're so spiritual, you're so connected with God, and you've also been so responsible that I just never worry about you. So there's been a part of me that has never felt the need to try to offer you. Would you even accept it? Was kind of also what she was challenging me with. You've always had it, you don't need my help. And I have created such this image that there was a lot of people that were like, wow, like you have always come off as you don't need help. And you know what? A part of me is like, yeah, because I'm strong and independent. But the other part of me is like, but I do sometimes. I am strong, and I want you to see that you are all strong. But we always are going to find ourselves in this flow, inevitably, where receiving is the only way to the next step. And so as I was getting dressed for today, because I've been in this, when I talk about the slingshot, I'm the object right now. I'm the object in the slingshot that's leaning back. I have not been catapulted forward yet. So I'm still in that flow. So when I was getting dressed this morning, I got all pretty and put something fancy on, and I looked in the mirror and I said, I'm not here right now. And I've been here before, and I'll get there again. But right now, I am trying to keep my head above water, trusting that God's got me. I know in my heart of hearts, it's a capital T truth that I'm gonna make it through. But I also know that we live in this world of conditions, and I am in a place where I am allowing myself to receive, and I am recognizing that this too is God. And so I put on what felt right for my mood. I put on what felt right for where I have been. And I'm not gonna lie, when I got here, 3 people asked me if I was okay today. Now, I don't know if it's because I showed up in Vans in a sweatshirt and it's not like me, or if it's because we can just read each other's energy. I believe it's a little bit of both. But I knew that this is how I needed to present myself, because at the end of the day, I don't ever want to create this example that I've got it so put together that I'm too good or that I'm too far ahead to be able to recognize when I need help. or when I need to be in that receiving flow. It is all about the law of circulation. And I realized that in order for me to get to my next, receiving was the non-negotiable. So it's time for us to learn how to lean in and pull back. Because what happens when we allow ourselves to actually be in that space where it feels like the void? My friend and I had this whole conversation of feeling like we're in the limbo. If you think about our spiritual symbol, that section in the middle, anybody know what that is?
Creative medium.
That's the creative medium. You get extra brownie points, Rev Don. That creative medium is what we also call the soil. Well, you can't really see much in the soil. It's pitch black under there. At least I imagine. I can't say for sure. It is pitch black. It is that darkness. It is that void. It is that nothingness, and yet everything is happening. When you step into that, it is that reset. It is that chance to release and purge the things that don't serve us anymore. And as I've actually, instead of trying to lean forward, when God is like, will you please lean back so I can push you forward? I have really seen things so differently. And I noticed that this has actually been kind of a reoccurring theme in my life. And I was able to go back to different times where I saw this happen before and resisting. And as soon as I just leaned into that slingshot of God, pew, I took off. And so allow yourself to reset as needed. Another quote, Wayne Dyer, abundance is not something we acquire. It's something we tune into. And that just really resonated with me. So what does happen after we lean in? Because nobody wants to stay in that middle section. We want to go back down and back up. It's the circulation, So when we do lean in, I feel like we have that chance to expand, explore, and explode. I love a little catchy phrase. Expand, explore, explode. If you don't remember anything from today, yeah, that's the one. So when you lean into it, when you trust that that void is inevitable, when you trust that that cycle is an opportunity for you to learn to say yes, you start to release that resistance, and then the momentum for that circulation is enhanced. It's like you're taking out the cholesterol and allowing your arteries to be revamped. So be aware of what comes after this phase. It is a cycle. We know that after the wintertime, we're gonna see things thaw, and then after things thaw, we're looking for the little buds on the trees, right? We know that's what's gonna come next. Why do we come so blindsided when it's our own cycles? After that frozen period, we know for sure that the Mother Earth is gonna respond in such a way that says, springtime. Judy, that was for you. So why is it that there is so much hesitation when it comes to trusting in that divine cycle of nature when it comes to our own life? That same slingshot metaphor. So I'm deciding this time to trust. And here's an example. Even though I've been in this place, there's an example that has been really, really enlightening on how I've already actually catapulted. Not every area of my life am I still leaning back. Some things are moving forward. I'm being a bit dramatic. That's just me. So when I still thought I was going to be in the process of actually moving out of state, I started boxing at this place over in Diamond Mall. So don't try me because I've been boxing. No, just kidding. Just kidding. It's all love and light here. Getting into my fitness journey, taking care of my physical health, it's been amazing. I knew the first time I went to go take a class that I wanted to teach there. They've got a really awesome stage that the fitness instructor is on. They mic up just like we do here, and they get people through these 45-minute workouts. It's a beautiful thing. I knew immediately that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be that person to support people with another part of wellness. So do I have any actual official fitness in my background? No, I don't. But do I trust in God? If I'm supposed to be there, that I'll be there? Yes, I do. So I tell those people, hey, how do I get that job? And they're just like, well, do you have experience? I'm like, no. They're like, okay, are you willing to audition? And I'm like, yeah, sure, absolutely. So I audition, and they're like, you're rough around the edges, but you've got something in your energy that we can work with. You're gonna have to keep practicing so we can get you a little bit more fine-tuned, but we'll give you the chance. Then I tell them, okay, awesome. And now they've got the same exact studio in Vegas. So I was already in my mind, cool, I'll start here, then I'll have a job when I move to Vegas. I'm calculating, right? So I tell them, okay, I'm gonna be moving to Vegas within the next 30, 45 days. So, I'll put in the work here, and then they're like, oh, well, if you're gonna move, we actually can't get you started. You need to do a contract with us. We expect at least 12 months with our trainers here. So here I am thinking I took a step forward, right? And then there goes that slingshot, taking a couple steps back. Well, when things fell through with Vegas, obviously there was that little bird on my shoulder saying, go talk to these people, go talk to these people. So I go back and I talk to them again. And they make me do another audition. Awesome, right? Was I still rough around the edges? Yeah. But they saw so much development just from that first audition to the second. They saw the heart, the character, that even though I felt like I was taking all these steps back with my plans falling through and things that were just setting me further and further into that pullback of that slingshot, I went through a month of training and auditioning and training and auditioning, and they said yes. And so as much as it felt like I was taking steps back and steps back, when I did go to Vegas to visit around this time, right before I realized I was not going to be moving there, I went to that studio and I talked to them about transferring. And they said, would you be okay starting at the front desk? That was where they were, because they had somebody else who just started training. They had a Stevie already who was in that same exact process. So I wouldn't have been given that same chance there. So once again, these things that are feeling like a step back, now I've been able to take and accept this position as a fitness trainer while I'm working on my certification. It's almost unheard of to get into the field before you have that license. But God has set me up, and I feel like that is a clear example of how these things that just felt like backtracking actually have propelled me so far forward. Now I've got another example, but I feel like I'm probably getting tight on time. But this whole job situation has been kind of crazy. I've been looking for other part-time work while I'm doing my fitness training and working at the center and, volunteering and such and such. And so I decided, okay, maybe I'm gonna do some serving, do some bartending. I wanna stay connected with people. So I got the certification for that. Now it's very strange coming from retail where I've been getting recruited from companies left and right for the past 10 years, humbly speaking, to now trying to get into this new world of food industry, bartending, where I don't have experience. I spent the last 3 weeks almost going door to door, it feels like, going restaurant to restaurant, bar to bar, with this great 6-page resume talking about it's not bar experience, but it's transferable experience. I got this, let me learn. Turn down left and right. Here I am once again, taking steps back. Just feel like I'm taking steps back, and I'm just like, what am I supposed to be doing? So I ended up following up with one of the places a couple days ago, and she's like, oh yeah, I thought I tried to call you, so-and-so, whatever, let's get you in for an interview. So yesterday, everything fell into place yesterday. It's kind of crazy. After the prac meeting, I ended up going for this interview. And I'm sitting down with this lady, and she's just got this look in her eyes. From the moment she walked up to me, I could just tell this was a different interaction versus me trying to sell myself to these other people at every other place that I went. And she's just looking at my resume and asked me questions and just letting me kind of go on. And she's like, yeah, so how would you feel about supervising as well? And I'm just like, were you even listening? You already had this plan. But once again, I was just in this position to where I was seen. So not only do I have an opportunity to bartend and make the tips and engage with people, but I can still leverage these leadership skills that I've built. On top of that, it is at Sullivan's. And guess who just performed at Sullivan's a couple days ago? Our very own Blaze. So when I say it feels so close to home, and it feels so right, and not to mention somebody who's looking to get into singing and being able to do shows like that, it is the perfect place. And if I would not have allowed myself to just continue to fall into that space without giving up and allowing myself to recognize that there is an opportunity to receive here, and when it's time, I will know, I think that I probably would have just pulled out and just completely rerouted. So my takeaways for today. Spirit is always in motion. We know this for a fact. That's what circulation is all about. It is a never-ending cycle. And just like Zoe said, it is an upward spiral. We are spiraling up, up, up. That is the capital T truth. So when we release all judgment and surrender that resistance, that divine detour can often recalibrate us if we just allow Spirit to pull back in some areas so that we can catapult forward. I believe we can go further than we ever can imagine. That's the whole point of co-creating with the divine. We can see this much. God's got that full 360 night vision. All of the above. So lean into those dark moments. Lead into that void. Those in-between times so you have the chance to spring ahead when that slingshot is released. Now I'm going to ask my colleagues to join me at this moment as we just anchor in this truth. Recognizing that there is a mighty power, a divine essence, a divine energy that we call source, God, love, spirit, mother, father, whatever it is, it is. There is this ebb and flow built within this cycle of life. The seasons that we see around us in the trees, how the earth will rotate and continue to end up right back where it started. These are the divine cycles of which are also alive in each and every one of us. And so as we take this moment to recognize that greatness of God, that ability to give and receive, that yin and yang, that divine duality, well, we know that we are extensions of that love. We are extensions of that light. We could never be separated even when we put on the blindfold. That is God's hands covering our eyes. Nothing can separate us from that truth. And so as we take this moment to accept that even that dark period, even those moments of stillness, even when we need to lean back 5 steps, we are still always in that perfect place. We are in that synchronization of the divine. We are in that cycle, that circulation that always comes back. It always flows, and it always flows upward. And so we just release resistance, allow ourselves to receive, trusting that every time we say yes to somebody else, they have the opportunity to practice giving. So we give them that chance, and we also give ourselves the same. Releasing, surrendering all hesitation, trusting that sweatshirt and Vans or beautiful black dress, it is all God, all expressions of the infinite. I know this for myself. I know this for the community that I stand within. I know this for the world. For the world is in that place where it feels like we are taking steps back. But I trust that as we continue to say yes, we will catapult forward in a way that could never be imagined. And so we just accept that divine nature as our own, giving thanks in advance for that which is unseen, releasing, letting it go, letting it be. And so it is. Namaste.
Everything above, everything I am is
Stevie, that was just so powerful. I think it was my favorite talk that you've ever done. Thank you so much. And so talking about circulation, this is our time within, right, our service where we get to practice the law of circulation. It is about giving and it is about receiving. So please join me with our affirmation. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. And so it is. So as Stevie was talking about the circulation of giving and receiving, I'm going to invite you that if you see yourself constantly as a giver and it's hard for you to receive, open yourself up to receiving, because in your receiving, you're allowing someone else to practice their law of circulation and giving. And if you are a person who accepts receiving very easily and you don't always have as many opportunities for giving, I invite you to seek out opportunities to give, because then it just creates more of and larger parts of your receiving. I love what Stevie said about the expand, right? I'm inviting you to expand and to explore that part that maybe is not working for you as well, because then that creates the explosion. Yes?
Yes.
Yes. All right, because spirit is always in motion, right, Stevie? Surrender versus resist. Spirit has 360-degree night vision. Right? 360-degree night vision. I love that. And so it is. Yeah, we received the same message too, girlfriend.